Now, are you ever bombarded with texts or other notifications asking you for a code to help you log in, specifically when you didn't try to log in?
That's often because hackers are trying to get into your accounts. It's called Multifactor Authentication Fatigue. For insight into what this is and how to prevent it, I spoke to Greg Schaefer. He's a cybersecurity expert and the principal of vCISO Services, LLC.
When you log into a bank or another website, you're usually using the multi-factor authentication with something that you know, which is your password, and something that you have, which is your phone. Now, usually when you try to log in, you'll get a notification from your bank on your phone, depending upon what type of authenticator you're using, that basically says, do you want to log in? And you click yes on there, or sometimes it's a code. What happens with the fatigue is that the bad criminals, what they're doing is they're trying to get into your account. So they know your password somehow or another through like a phishing exercise, but they don't have your code. They want you to enter that code, and so what you see are constant requests on your phone to log in. If it's a push, it could be log in, you just hit yes, or if it's a number code, that you keep on getting all these different codes. And what ends up happening is that the end user, the person receiving those, they just don't want to be bothered with this. They have stuff to do, they have work to get done, and they finally say, okay, whatever, I'll hit yes, or whatever, I'll just punch in this code. It must be for something that I'm doing right now. I'll just let it go, leave it alone. And that's when the bad criminal gets in.
The social engineering is involved in this, where they try to find that weak entry point, and then they all of a sudden use tactics like impersonation or things like that you're learning to in order to get into these systems. How much is this costing businesses?
Well, it can cost businesses an awful lot, because what ends up happening is that fraud is a major factor with regards to this. So your bank account, for example, could be drained, and once your bank account is drained, it's very difficult to get the money back. Or it could be that your settings with a business that you work with, that's changed, and now you can no longer get the services that you request for. It could be as simple as logging into your email, for example. Well, now that they have their multi-factor authentication fatigue has worked, now the criminal can come into your email or to your workspace. If you're using something like Office 365, they can go through your files and they can find all sorts of intellectual property for the business. At that point in time, basically, you've been owned as far as your account goes, and they are now and are able to do anything that you can do.
How much at risk are individuals, and what can they do to repel these attacks?
This happens, unfortunately, all the time, because the basic method on how these attacks work is that they're relying upon the human element. The human element that you're going to make a mistake, that you're going to let down your guard, that somehow or another you're just going to do what they want you to do. And what you need to do is just, first of all, breathe and think about it. What did I do? Why is this actually coming on my phone? I've had this happen before, where was a password breach for a service that I use, and I did get a notification. And what I ended up doing was going out on the internet and finding out, yes, in fact, there had been a breach for this particular service. I hadn't gotten a breach notification yet, so I wasn't aware of it. But if you had not initiated any sort of a logon, do your research first. Don't just click yes and give that away to the criminals.
That is such good advice here. Greg Schaefer, cybersecurity expert and principal at vCISO Services, LLC. Thank you.